I saw this, the two signs, Tate Reeves, the gigantic sign, and the Robert Foster sign, the small one, and I put it on my Facebook page, and I just made the comment that this is the difference between big money, outside state money, and Robert Foster, who's on a grassroots campaign to help us be a better state.
A Mississippi man running for governor is making strides as he hits the highway to meet people, stopping in small towns and big ones, sharing his plans for progress of the state and restoring old-fashioned values. House Representative Robert Foster isn't afraid to take on controversy and questions addressing things like the Delta tragedy, saying the government didn't do enough for the people out there who are still forced out of their homes, and other top concerns of Mississippians like a failing education system, an imperative right to own guns, no more state income tax, and even the state flag.
We're just talking about how socialism destroys nations and how the cycles of promising people things that the government can't deliver upon ends up destroying a nation. And the one thing that America has that prevents the destruction of itself is the Second Amendment. And everyone would say, well, it's freedom of speech. And that is actually what's so important about the foundation of America, is that we have freedom of speech and religion. But you cannot have freedom of speech and religion if you don't have the right to defend yourself too, because government always has the ability to take that away from you if you can't defend yourself against your own government. And that is the purpose of the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is not for hunting, it's not for skeet shooting. It is for the very sole purpose of being able to keep the final check and balance between the people and their government. That is what makes us a constitutional republic. That is what makes the power truly rest with the people, is our ability to stop an overbearing government, a tyrannical government, which is what the left liberal agenda is, from taking everything we have, including our rights for personal religious freedom and freedom of speech, away from us. The Second Amendment is the only thing standing between us and them.
We're actually just discussing socialism and the right to bear arms, and you used Venezuela as an example. What happened there?
Just like in every other regime, once the government takes away your right to bear arms, they start implementing policies and procedures that take away all of your other personal liberties, and there's nothing that you can do about it because you have no way to defend yourself against the government, and they know that. And I would never trust any government on this earth ever to have the right to take away my right to defend myself and my family.
Foster, described as a family man, businessman, farmer, and Christian, is one of the three men vying for the Republican vote in order to fight Democrats for the state's top leadership role as governor. There are two other Republican candidates for governor right now. Do you feel like Representative Foster is the better choice for yourself?
Well, I do, and my main reason is that he has not been a bought and paid for politician. He only spent 4 years in the House of Representatives, I believe.
Is why I decided to run at this point in my career, because everybody wants to know, why not wait, Robert? Why not wait 8 years or 16 years until you have more political capital, more name ID, more campaign contributions, so you can make a serious run at it? Well, I am making a serious run at it because I have a passion for my state, and I have that now, and I don't want to lose that. And I want to fight for the people of our state to make some serious changes that need to be made. And I also don't owe anybody any favors, and I want it that way, and I don't want to have to owe anybody anything. I haven't taken any money with any strings attached. The only promise I've made is the same one that I'll make to everyone here in this room today, that if you will honor me with your vote on August 6th in the Republican primary for governor, that I will put God first in everything that I do, and I will do it as in the best interest of all Mississippians. And may God bless these United States, and may God bless the great state of Mississippi. Thank you.
I think he's got great ideas for how to bring Mississippi off of the bottom. We've stayed there for how many years? And the last 8 years, we had all the promises in the world, but nothing was delivered. And it's sad that that didn't happen. And now, both of the other candidates, they're established politicians. They're promising the same thing that has gone on for the last 8 years, and it's time to change. He's looking at it from a totally different perspective.
What specifically would you like to see change?
Change? I'd like to see the educational system change, for one, and the other one is the tax system. The tax system, we're being taxed to death.
A third of our population, give or take, is paying in they're paying in personal income taxes and trying to float an entire state budget, and it's just not mathematically working. And we overtax the working class, we overtax the small business owners, and we have to look at restructuring our whole tax structure to be more business friendly and more working class friendly. And that's why my tax proposal has been so well received around the whole state, because everybody knows it's what needs to happen. We have to move away from the personal income tax in Mississippi. Yeah, so in Tennessee, Texas, and Florida, they do not have personal income tax on your personal income. They have the majority of their revenue based off of sales and use taxes. So everybody in their economy, whether they're a tourist, whether they're a drug dealer, those people don't pay income tax, but they are using the roads, the bridges, and the services of the state. Everybody pays their fair share. The more you drive, the more you pay. The more you buy, the more you pay. And so they're not over putting the burden on the working class and the small business owners like we do in Mississippi, when we have a system of personal income tax and property taxation for counties. Counties have no form of revenue to maintain infrastructure other than property tax. And so it puts a big burden on small business owners and homeowners and people on fixed incomes especially.
Basically, in summary, a better alternative for taxation is to eliminate state tax.
Eliminate the state personal income tax and have everything based off of sales and use taxes, so that everybody in the economy, whether you're running an illegitimate business or whether you're passing through as a tourist, you're going to pay your fair share when you go to the pump in the store.
So this tax structure is proven to work and improve economies.
It's a proven conservative concept to base government revenue on use and sales to use, so that government does not outgrow the economy and end up putting you in a position like Mississippi is, where we have a top-heavy government based on the size of our economy, but we don't have the revenue to keep up. And because if we tried to raise income tax to try to catch up, it would have the inverse effect. We would run more people out of our state, the working people and small business owners, and that's the situation we find ourselves in.
Well, I'm not a big fan of any kind of taxes, to be honest with you, but we do still need to fund our state government. If we can cut the income tax completely and still offset that through other means, whether it be through economic growth or other types of taxes, I'm certainly in favor of something like that. And I think that's a good forward-thinking plan that somebody running for governor this year needs to bring forward anyway.
In contrast to his big money Republican opponents, one of whom has already raised nearly $7 million, the grassroots contender Foster says he is instead vesting his energy into in-person footwork and traveling to campaign, rather than into expensive advertising. Also to social media to address concerns about the state.
People are wondering, are you going to visit the Delta?
I have already been there multiple times, and I plan to go back. The flooding in the South Delta especially is a major, major issue, and we have got to get the pump project finished in the Delta. It is crucial that we do that. We had over 500,000 acres underwater for most of this year, and those farmers are not going to be able to get their crops in. It's going to cost us a significant impact to our economy, and there are people with their homes underwater as well. That is very problematic for that part of the region. The Arkansas and Louisiana pump projects were completed, and we just need to get ours finished in Mississippi.
Yes, it's been a while. I've heard that a lot of people have left their homes and they haven't been able to go home for 6 months. It seems unimaginable for those who are not experiencing it. My heart goes out to those who are. Why do you suppose nothing's happened yet? And what do you think you could do to make it better out there?
Well, as a farmer myself and someone who understands the hardships that farmers already face with putting literally everything they have into the ground every year and hoping for a good crop and praying for it, I understand exactly what needs to be done. We need to have an advocate, a strong advocate for the state of Mississippi to pressure and lobby and talk our U.S. Congress into completing that pump project, working with the Corps of Engineers to also reevaluate how we maintain the flooding of the Mississippi River, because that is also impacting our Gulf Coast, and it's all tied together. It's all important to figure out a plan. That's our plan we have now is almost 100 years old, and it's just not working.
The thing that stuck out for me was his stance on schools. All of my children are in public schools, but when he said that college is not for everybody, it was exactly what my husband and I value and what we think. And we have 6 children combined. Our oldest is in a technical school right now. My 13-year-old hates school with a passion, and I already told him if he wanted to go out, at 16 years old, get his GED and go to a trade school, I would love that. And so he's about to be in 7th grade, and if he had those skills for the next 2 years like he had proposed, some kind of welding or some kind of VOTEC skills, he would already be prepared to do that. And then I have girls who I could see going straight through college and breezing through just like I did. So his stance on schools was probably I already loved him from a few things that I've already read about him, but I didn't know his stance on schools, and that really kind of hit it home for me.
I can tell you, as a small business owner that hires a lot of young people, unless their parents or grandparents stepped in and taught them something, they don't even know how to push a broom or read a tape measure when they graduate high school anymore, and it's a real problem. They don't know how to work. All they know how to do is take a test, and that is absolutely useless to me and every other small business owner out there that I've ever talked to. And the reason why is because the vast majority of good paying jobs out in the economy always have been and always will be skilled labor, not 4-year professional degrees. And we've created a system that's failing our children from the start because we're not teaching them how to work anymore. And we've got to get back to exposing them to the opportunities to learn a skilled trade, and we need to put that back into every single high school, and it really needs to be in every junior high, 7th and 8th grade level, to introduce them to the opportunity to learn how to weld, plumbing, HVAC, electrical, carpentry, mechanics, computer programming, all of these different career paths that can give them an opportunity to get out of high school and earn a good living that will break the cycle of poverty. Asking about high-performing school districts or well-performing school districts about being underneath the umbrella of NDE oversight. And this is my position on that. One, we need new leadership at MDE, in my opinion. We need somebody that has the same values and principles as Mississippi, that has the same direction and views that I have on putting VOTEC, Career Tech back in as a focus and getting away from all of this testing. And we also don't need to pay that person over $300,000. I think that's an insane salary.
I agree with him about the state flag. I think, we had it voted on already, and the people voted, and so I personally think we should just keep the flag.
Wanting to change the flag, but my personal opinion is I like the flag we have, and I'm going to stand with the people on their decision that they made in 2001. That's just my personal opinion.
Thank you, sir.
But I also like what he was talking about, the personal income tax, and I believe that would really work out for Mississippi.
That seems to be a real key topic here, or a key issue with his campaign, is that income tax. And
yes, ma'am.
They're saying that it's working very well in those other states that he's mentioned.
Yeah, in Florida. I heard he mentioned something about Florida, so yes, ma'am.
The big debate is coming up. It's on July 23rd. How does one prepare for such a thing? What goes into that?
I've actually been preparing for this for years, because I've been talking policy in depth and detail and debating with members of the legislature, pro and con of all these big issues facing our state for over 4 years now, or right at 4 years. And so I'm very prepared for it. I have a very strong position on a lot of the major issues, and those positions have been formatted by having serious debate with people from every spectrum of the political spectrum, from the most liberal to the most conservative, and understanding where they come from and why they have the positions that each individual in the legislature has. I'm considered one of the most conservative on the far right of the spectrum on policy.
Does this debate, debates in general, what purpose does that serve for the public in helping them make their decision?
I think it allows two things. One, to see which candidates actually have a grasp of the issues and have a vision to try to help solve those problems, because one of the biggest things I think politicians are always doing is promising people things that they can't actually deliver upon because they don't have a plan to actually get from point A to point B. People have been very, very receptive to actually having a candidate that's not scared to talk about the issues, because I'm not not scared to talk about any of the major issues facing our state.
So remember to catch the debate July 23rd on WJTV Channel 12. That is a Tuesday. It's very important to watch. It's going to give you the opportunity to understand where each candidate for governor of Mississippi, where they stand on their values and their policies. So catch that on July 23rd. Reporting in Harrison County, Tara Thomas, WJTV 12.